perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
Yes, that was the coolest play I've ever seen by any player in any game ever. If this happened in Madden, you'd say it glitched. Welcome to the real winners and losers from NFL Week 9. Dennis Allen fired. Luke Getsy fired. The Jets are still alive. Joe Burrow flying under the radar. The Cowboys are dead in the water. And the Lions can play in moisture. Before I reveal the real winners and losers, I have the Blop 10 plays. 10 plays so bad to the bone, NFL referees are too scared to eject him. Blop 10? Well, this one's from college. This Memphis celebration that resulted in an injury. Somewhere Martin Gramatica is looking on and smiling, knowing his legacy lives on. Blop 9, Dan Jones fumbles the throw, the Commanders fumble the interception, and the refs fumble the play by blowing it dead, which would have been a Washington touchdown. The only way this play could have had more blops is if Tom Brenneman was on the call. Blop 8, Rico Dowdle drops and catches a touchdown while on his back. The last Cowboy I've seen work this hard on his back was Heath Ledger and Brokeback Mountain. We're allowed one Brokeback Mountain Cowboys joke per year, and I promise I'm done now that I've hit my quota. Fitting, this was the official in this game. This is my ass, Kurt. Stay away. Blop 7, the Raiders fumble the end around, and now have the most turnovers in the NFL. And now the real turnover has begun with their coaching staff. Blop 6, this insane celebration from Incarnate Word on Saturday, one of the best high school teams in the country. It was so cool. 2 NFL players used the same celebration on Sunday, Amon-Ra St. Brown and Drake London. Shout out to that photographer getting right in there between the legs. It's pretty cool though to be in high school and have an NFL player mimic you. If an NFL player mimicked me when I was in high school, their touchdown celebration would have been too scared to talk to girls. Blop 5, a Commies fan takes a tumble right after talking trash.
Shut your fucking mouth. Oh.
Now I don't want to speak ill of a legend, Art Monk, but he's looking pretty rough these days. And thank God this was at MetLife Stadium, because if that was in Washington, that guardrail would have come down and we'd be talking about a fan funeral today. Blop 4, it was hailing inside of the Cardinals Stadium, where they have a roof. They did not close the roof. Why did they not close the roof? I do not know. Maybe the government does control the weather. Speaking of conspiracies, Blop 3 is Damar Hamlin, the Grim Reaper. I'm not sure what Bappa's credentials are, but he brings up a very good point. Blop 2, Bobby De Niro was tailgating before the Eagles win over the Jaguars. Ironically, it was the chicken wing saying,
"You talking to me? You talking to me?"
This is actually De Niro's best work with the crazy Eagles fan since Silver Linings Playbook.
I thought you said you had it together. You were solid.
I am solid. I was solid at the game.
And Blop 1, going back to Thursday, rookie receiver Malachi Corley, who pulled the Deshaun Jackson, a DK Metcalf, a Danny Trevathan on what could have been his very first NFL touchdown. This is a blop if a blop was ever a blop. And after this play, you know Aaron Rodgers has Malachi Corley in a basement somewhere in Jersey, tied up, sucking in droplets of water through a drip tube while being forced to listen to voodoo histories, the role of the conspiracy theory in shaping modern history. Blop 0, Bears receiver DJ Moore checks himself out of a play mid-play. Look what you started, Anthony Richardson. Look what you started. Did DJ just give up here? Is Matt Eberflus going to be fired next? Winning politics, my amazing friend and video editor Johnny Barks. Finally, a political take that can unite us all. Losing religion? All of us after the Chiefs win again in overtime. The devil's in the coin toss. The devil was in the coin toss, landing on the wrong side in overtime in the Bucs-Chiefs game. Loser Todd Bowles having absolutely no testicles. Your team just marched the ball down the field to tie the game, and you don't go for 2 against the Chiefs, who annihilate any team that dare take them into overtime. Yeah, let a coin determine your fate. No Nut November, I just see Todd Bowles. Baker Mayfield and the Bucs took KC into OT in a very, very moist game. Tampa's defense played quite a bit better than we've seen this season so far. except for when Travis Kelce or Justin Watson was in the middle of the field. Tampa sacked Mahomes 4 times, but never on third down, or so it seemed, as Mahomes was 12 of 18 on third down, converting like 10 or 11 in a row, I believe. Travis Kelce had his first 100-yard game of the season and became the first 35-year-old man with a 19-year-old kid's haircut to catch 14 balls in a game. He also had a fumble that kept Tampa in it before halftime. Loser, the Tennessee fucking Titans for trading DeAndre Hopkins to the Chiefs for nothing. D-Hop had 8 receptions in this game, including 2 touchdown grabs. He's exactly what Patrick Mahomes needed. And he celebrated with a Remember the Titans dance. Hopkins has been there 2 weeks, and he officially brought back vintage Mahomes, who's been missing for about 8 weeks this season. Oh, and the Chiefs offense, just the best third down offense in the league, dating back to 2011. Ooh. Bills Dolphins. This game was straight jizz. Yeah, that means great fun for all of the virgins watching. This is exactly what you want from a division game, though. 7 straight scores in this affair. Devin, Achane, and Ray Davis were going toe-to-toe, trading touchdowns. Davis rips one for 63 yards. And I find the optics of Achane wearing a Guardian cap and Tua not hilarious. Josh Allen threw 3 touchdowns, including one while being tackled to take back the lead late in the fourth quarter. I have to give my unrevenged dagger to former Bills safety Jordan Poyer, who had a costly unnecessary violence penalty on Coleman to get the Bills in field goal range. After he left Buffalo, he's still helping this team win. Winning kicker, how can I not give this to anyone other than Tyler Slappa the Baseman, who blasted a 61-yard game-winning kick. He nearly lost his job in Buffalo the last week or two, and then he does this. Today's show is sponsored by Good Chop and my code That'sGood130. That code will get you $130 off your first 4 boxes of meat at Good Chop. Now, the weather has been crazy warm here for the fall, and I got one last round of perfect evening grilling in with my Good Chop ribeyes. They are my favorite cut. The marbling is always exquisite and the thickness consistent, which means I can grill them the exact same way every time and get juicy, medium rare bites on every piece. They're grass-fed and they never have any hormones or antibiotics. And with 70 plus high-quality cuts of meat, Good Chop always has what you're looking for. What's great about Good Chop is you can customize your box with high-quality meat, chicken, or seafood, which can be delivered to your home on your schedule. All of their products are sourced from the US of A, exclusively from American farms and fisheries. I also tried their trout recently, but I'll save that for another video. Go to goodchop.com/YouTube and use code That'sGood130 or click the link in the description below to get $130 off across your first 4 boxes. It's an amazing deal topped with Good Chop's 100% money-back guarantee. And as a full-blown meat head, I approve this message. You thought you were done hearing about approved messages, didn't you? Today I present the Rubber Gloves Award, like the Golden Glove, but it's used, filthy, sticky rubber gloves for great catchers of the ball. Demarcus Robinson comes down with the game-winning grab in overtime. He has 4 touchdowns in the past 2 weeks. Speaking of rubber gloves, Matthew Stafford in OT was surgical. Jordan Addison had the best one-handed grab by a receiver facing DUI charges this week. Quarterback Bo Nix scoring the Broncos' lone touchdown with an insane QB catch. You deserve the Rubber Gloves Award, Bo. Devontae Smith, corner pocket, one-handed grab, both feet inbounds. And of course, Garrett Wilson reminding us all, 1 shin down equals 2 feet inbounds. And 1 foot down twice don't mean shit. Congrats, you're all qualified to give rectal exams with those rubber gloves. But there can only be one king of the rubber gloves, and it's hard to not give the winning receiver this week to Garrett Wilson, who had 9 catches for 90 yards and had 2 absolutely absurd touchdowns in a must-win game for the Jets on Thursday against the Texans, a game that might change the rest of the season for New York. Wilson proved that even when he is covered, he's probably going to catch the ball. Wasted wide receiver performance, that's going to the Seahawks. Jackson, Smith, and Jigba probably would have won the best receiver award if the Seahawks hadn't shat the bed in overtime, because he had 7 balls reeled in for 180 yards and 2 touchdowns and was the only Seattle player really trying to win this game. Unfortunately, Geno Smith, who was the only 300-yard passer Sunday, 3 touchdowns, but also 3 interceptions for Geno as well. Losing rookie quarterbacks? Bo Nix and Caleb Williams. The Cardinals wiped the floor with the Bears 29-9, and the Ravens eviscerated the best defense in the AFC 41-10. Bo Nix and Caleb weren't horrible by any means, but as Jane Daniels continues to dominate, we have to crown one winner and relegate the others to becoming jesters. Rome Odunze had 104 receiving yards, and yet Caleb Williams still got far less production through the air with better weapons than Bo Nix. Conversely, Jonathan Gannon had the Cards offense run the ball over 30 times. Kyler got the win with just 154 passing yards. Chicago had Caleb throw 41 fucking times in this game. Just 19 rushing attempts for Chicago, and we've seen the difference when they run the ball well. Javonte Williams, just 12 carries. These are the lows of having a rookie quarterback. There will be highs again, I am confident in that, but it is tough to watch, especially when your quarterback is out there taking hits when the game is over. Winning run from a guy I've never heard of, Amari DiMarcado for the Cardinals. A 2023 undrafted running back out of TCU ripped a 54-yard touchdown with 20 seconds left in the half, which turned this 5-point game into something the Bears could not recover from. The same fucking thing happened to the Broncos with the Zay Flowers touchdown right before halftime. Losing transformation, learning all Matts are the same head coaches. Eberflus becomes Nagy right before our eyes. Congrats, Eberflus. You've never won a road game on Sunday. That's true. Winning Russell Wilson's stat line? Sam Darnold, who is the only quarterback to ever complete 80% of his passes, throw 3 touchdowns, have 3 turnovers, take 3 sacks, and still get the dub. Losing the ball award? That's going to Darnold and Flacco, who combined for 3 picks and 2 fumbles, 5 total turnovers in a silly but kind of oddly fun Sunday night game. I don't care if this fumble wasn't Joe Flacco's fault. These 2 guys couldn't stop giving the ball away. NFL defenses can officially start game planning to attack Sam Darnold's head. His head will never generate a roughing call or a face mask, even when a flag is thrown. It's his one tragic flaw. Oh yeah, and Justin Jefferson has his 32nd career game with at least 100 receiving yards. My winning quarterback? I gotta give it up to Joey Burrow, who tossed 5 touchdowns in the Bengals win over the Raiders. T. Higgins still not playing for the Bengals, and still it's not a problem for Joe Burrow, who diced up Las Vegas, going 27 of 39 for 251. Like I said, no Higgins, so surely there was a lot of Jamar Chase, right? Wrong. Chase only had 43 yards and didn't get in the end zone. Instead, those 5 TDs went to Chase Brown. Andre, I know your last name isn't pronounced Lascivus, but that's how I'm going to say it. Drew Sample and a couple to Mike Gesicki, who hit the gritty both times after scoring. Gesicki also had 100 yards receiving, his first since 2021. The Bengals are now a game back from 500, and if they were above that mark, Joey Burrow would probably be getting some MVP talk, because he's got 20 touchdown passes and just 4 picks on the year to go with a 70% completion rate. And you know where he got his powers this week? That's right, Macaulay Culkin, who dressed up as Bro for Halloween. That's why he was at home finding receivers all alone in the end zone. My winning running back? Well, it could have been Alvin Kamara, who deserved this award because he had 215 yards from scrimmage. But winning running back is going to Bengals running back Chase Brown, who not only had 120 yards on 27 carries, but also added 37 yards and a touchdown in the receiving game, doing an incredible job to get both feet down in the back of the end zone. The Bengals have been feeling the departure of Joe Mixon, but Brown finally stepped up and kept the offense rolling against a shitty Vegas team. Winning tradition, the Raiders firing coaches midseason. Minshew was benched for Desmond Ridder, and the Raiders lost their 5th straight game, so they fired offensive coordinator Luke Getsy. This is the 4th head coach or coordinator firing in the last 5 years for the Raiders. The Raiders have the worst rushing attack on a per attempt basis by any team since the year 2000. The Raiders offense has been very bad under Getsy. They also fired their offensive line coach, James Craig, and quarterback coach Rich Scangarello. It's hard for the Raiders offense to get much worse, but one way it can is by trying to fill 3 holes on the coaching staff mid-season. My losing quarterback, well, I hate to do this to my friends Tom Grossi and Johnny Barks, but Jordan Love has been flirting with disaster all season, and it came crashing down at home against Detroit for Green Bay's QB. And yes, Green Bay did suck in this game. Love threw a pick 6, a bad one, that basically flipped the game in favor of a Lions rout, and he finished 23 of 39 for 273 and 0 TDs, 6 drop passes, and 3 botched snaps. And it does not help the weather. It was awful, but Jared Goff kept finding completions in the Lions' first outdoor game of the season, as ridiculous as that sounds. And in all that moist weather, Amon-Ra and Jared Goff kept their reception streak alive, 30 in a row without a drop. And the sun god caught all 7 in that moist weather. For goodness sakes, Jordan Love, it's okay to give up on a play from time to time and throw the ball away. The hardest part about Love really is learning when to let go. 7 straight games with the pick for Love, by the way.
It's all about decision making. It's all about processing the moment that you're in. The moment doesn't require that type of play.
My coffee company, BenchwarmerShop.com's bringing in the doubleheader for the Fuck the Refs award for ejecting 2 of the most important players for nothing. Branch and Pula Nacua both ejected. Branch got kicked out of the game for hitting a receiver high, something that is a penalty, but having New York phone this in to eject him, over-policing, and if I've got to agree with Tom Brady, it's egregious.
I don't love that call at all. I mean, obviously it's a penalty, but to me, that has to be serious intent.
Puka sort of threw a punch, which is ejectable, but in my opinion, you gotta connect for it to be an ejection. If you don't connect, you cannot eject. Puka and Shohei Ohtani both got the win after their shoulders got them in trouble. And our winning play, how could this go to anyone other than Saquon Barkley, who hit the most ridiculous move I've seen on a football field maybe ever. A juke, a spin, and a reverse hurdle all on the same play. That's like Christmas with 4th of July fireworks on spring break. I didn't even know this was possible. He can jump backwards twice as far as I can jump forward. Giants fans have to be on their hands and knees watching this right now. And I bet they'd get on their knees to bring him back, if you know what I mean. I'm talking about... I'm not sure you could have even done this with the skateboard on one of the Tony Hawk video games. And I've got to shout out the Jags defense for continuing to swipe at the ball after Jahan Dotson made an incredible juggling catch. I mentioned the Slim Reaper's touchdown grab, but Nakobe Dean saved Nick Sirianni's ass with the game-ending pick in the end zone. That's a linebacker catching passes out there like a Bo Nix. Game manager of the week? Well, Jameis Winston couldn't stop throwing the ball to the other team. Justin Herbert very deftly managed the Chargers to victory on the road in Cleveland, averaging almost 10.5 yards per pass and hitting a couple deep touchdowns, one to Josh Palmer and another to, oh my God, he might be good now, Quentin Johnston, who had 118 yards on just 4 receptions. Herbert very skillfully absorbed 6 sacks from the Cleveland D, but still kept the chains moving despite LA failing to pick up 100 yards running the ball. The Chargers are now at 5-3 through their first 8, and Herbert is starting to pick up steam. Loser? LASIK surgery. Jameis Winston is still throwing to the wrong team, just like he did last week. Before getting LASIK surgery, though, he said he thought Bruce Arians was black. His vision is still bad, and he tossed his first pick of the season in the end zone, his 100th of his career, and then his 101st, and then his 102nd. He's a bad quarterback. And when he gets LASIK for a second time, we'll learn that Jameis Winston thought Kevin Stefanski was the first woman head coach in NFL history. My only Mahomes throw of the week is going to young Drake May, who held the ball for something like 30 seconds, evaded multiple sacks, and got the ball out of his hand at the last possible millisecond on the last play of regulation to tie the Titans and send the game into overtime. Sure, the Patriots didn't win, but this was something of a moral victory for New England. Of course, they should have tried to get a real victory by going for 2, because what the hell do you have to lose at that point? Winning defender? Let's shout out a Tennessee Titan for maybe the first time this season. Well, at least in a positive light. The Titans and Pats were playing in an absolute poop bowl of a game, but Amani Hooker came to the rescue with 1 interception in the early going. Then he sealed the game in overtime when he stole a Drake May deep ball to ice it. You don't want to get robbed by a hooker once, but if it happens twice in May, it's actually good luck. Losing coach? You think it's Dennis Allen, but I think it's Mike McCarthy, who knows he's a dead man walking at this point. He's not under contract past this season, and I'm not sure he's going to even finish it out. The Cowboys had a pretty winnable game in front of them in Atlanta, but kept shooting themselves in the foot with stuff like this terrible pass on a fake punt. The culture seems bad right now with Zeke Elliott missing 3 meetings in 1 week and not going to this game, and Dak Prescott saying we fucking suck on the sideline. And right now, I'm sure Jerry Jones is doing eeny, meeny, miny, mo between Bill Belichick and Deion Sanders to see who's going to coach his team next season. And going from this is our year to there's always next season, the Cowboys. This is our year. There's always next season. Our new coffee available at Benchwarmer shop. Kirk Cousins finally beat up on someone that wasn't the Buccaneers. He tossed 3 touchdowns in this game, including an incredible back shoulder throw and grab by Drake London in the end zone. I already showed the celebration, but we're calling this the London Bridge is falling down, right? London Bridge is falling down, right? We're calling it that. Ray McLeod's touchdown graphic is the backwards hurdle of cool cartoon art. And in the process of fucking sucking, Dak Prescott injured his hamstring and never returned.
This is not expected to be a minor injury. He is expected to be out an extended period of time, multiple weeks.
How do I watch football? Why?
Winning social team, the Falcons, for dunking on our dear friend Scooter, who, yes, always thinks it's his season.
How do I watch football? Why?
My midseason stud, Derrick Henry, he's first in rushes, rushing yards, rushing touchdowns, longest rush, rushing first down, scrimmage yards, and scrimmage TDs. He literally has no deficiencies, and I'm thankful the Titans set him free. Jordan Poyer got the unrevenge dagger, but who got the real revenge dagger? Let's go into a man who wasn't even on the field. Michael Thomas, former Saints wide receiver, was at home watching his old team lose to the Panthers, and he had a few thoughts, which he was kind enough to share on Twitter. Let's just say that Mr. Thomas is not a big fan of Derek Carr, and he thinks Carr was directly responsible for Chris Olave taking a brutal shot to the head, which appeared to knock him out, send him to the hospital. Whether or not he had a point, I think we can rule out a return to New Orleans for Thomas anytime soon. My winning team, the Commanders, who are 7-2 for the first time since the 1996 season. It wasn't pretty, but the Commanders got a key divisional win, and they are proving to simply be a good football team. Jaden Daniels is going to win Rookie of the Year, and there's optimism in Washington for the first time in decades. And that'll all come to a crashing halt tonight. The losing streak is over. Dan Jones finally threw a motherfucking touchdown pass at MetLife Stadium. The man to help him break the streak, bulldozing, road paving, blocking tight end Chris Manhertz. That was the first touchdown in over 2 years for Danny begging for dimes. Somehow the Chiefs won 2 Super Bowls in between Danny Dimes throwing touchdowns in his home stadium. And in true Dan Jones fashion, he had the losing, winning stat line while throwing his first touchdown. He was a perfect 4 for 4 with that tud. And yes, he had 0 passing yards. He was 4 for 6 for 0 yards at half. Jones finished with 3 total TDs, the first time since week 2 of last season. My losing stat, well, that's going to Derek Carr, who lost to the Panthers, making the first quarterback to start in a loss against 31 different teams. That's one of those things, like the interception record, where it's so bad it's actually pretty impressive when you really think about it. He also has gotten Dennis Allen fired twice, an NFL first, and an incredible achievement so rare it saved Allen from being the losing coach this week. Of course, Derek Carr is set to face his old team, the Raiders, on December 29th, so he could do the previously unthinkable and make it a clean 32 for 32 in terms of losses. Carr also has the most losses in a career through 11 seasons at 91, tied only with the great Arch Manning, but Carr will be goated if he can beat the Raiders so bad in December they fire Antonio Pierce. Then he will get 2 head coaches fired in the same season and go down as the greatest coach killer in NFL history. Congratulations to Dennis Allen, because sticking around for 79 games in the NFL with a winning percentage of just .329 is honestly pretty cool. You have to feel good knowing people like you enough to keep you around that long despite being one of the worst coaches to ever do it. Derek Carr even chose to come back and play with you, even though he was around for the first time you got canned all the way back in 2014. And how Carolina won this game, nobody will ever know, but we're all happy for Bryce Young, aren't we? And the bed shitters, my Broncos defense. I hate to say it, but it's definitely the Broncos defense who played a real life NFL offense in Baltimore and got dog walked up and down the field over and over again. I did the whole game here. The Ravens put up 41 on the Broncos D and probably could have done more damage. Denver's offense really wasn't that bad despite only scoring 10 points. This is the worst their defense has looked since that 70 steamer in Miami. And it was a bit of a reality check for me. And I hate reality. I like to live in a world of fiction and promise and hope. Thanks for watching That's Good Sports, winners and losers. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel, especially if you made it this far. Anybody who makes it through the whole video, you deserve to be punished even more by seeing more of my videos.